Huntley Library. Thanks for joining me this afternoon for Teen Crafternoon. We're going to be making gnomes this time, so let's get some supplies together and we can get started on those. Okay, today we're making gnomes. The first thing that you're going to need is some kind of styrofoam form, a cone shape like this for your gnome. I found this in the floral department over at Hobby Lobby. They also sell them at Michael's and other craft stores. So you can check around for those, or you can order one online, or maybe you have something like this already at home. You could also just use like a plastic form too. Something that's conical though, like this, will work best for your gnome because it's already shaped like a gnome. Then you're going to need something for your gnome's beard. You could use string, you can use yarn like I'm going to use. I'd actually recommend using that chunky yarn because that makes a nice flowing beard and it's easier to pick apart if you want to make a fluffier beard. You're going to need a sock for your gnome's hat. So choose a festive sock if you have one. And then some ribbon to tie up the end of the hat, and then something for the nose. So I'm going to be using a wooden bead for my gnome's nose. And then you're also going to need some scissors to cut pieces for your beard. So gather your supplies together. Oh, I forgot to mention my glue gun here. For assembling your gnome, the glue gun is probably going to be the easiest way to stick the beard on and the nose. If you use something like tacky glue, it'll take longer to dry. It will probably also work, but you'll have to wait for things to dry a little bit longer. So my recommendation is the glue gun. Okay, so here is my cone. And just to visualize it, the top of the cone up here is going to be where the gnome's hat is, and then the rest of the gnome is kind of going to just be all beard and nose. So decide where you want your beard to start. I think I'm going to have mine start like right about here. Like that might be where I put the nose. So I want the beard to just come down like that. So take your yarn and then measure down from that spot. You can mark it somehow if you want to because you're going to be covering it up. So if you want to have a little reference for that, make a little mark with a marker there or something, or a piece of tape so that you can see where you want to measure from. And then you're just going to cut one piece here as a reference down from that spot. And you can make it a little bit longer too. That way when you ply it apart or separate the threads, it'll extend a little bit beyond the base of the gnome. So once you've got one of those measured, you can put your form off to the side and then just cut a bunch more. So I'm just gonna measure like this based on the one that I first cut. And they don't all have to be the same length. In fact, later on, once we've stuck on at least one row of these, you can decide if you need to stick on some more beard pieces. I made an example earlier and added some extra hair, some extra yarn where I thought the mustache area would be, and like the lower front of the face beard. So some of it looks like hair, some of it looks more like a beard. So you're going to need quite a pile of these because you're going to go all the way around like that when we glue them on. And then you're also going to want to cover up this wider area too, which is going to require some more yarn. So cut a whole bunch of them and you will probably need more even after that. So I'll show you what my final pile looks like. Or I guess my starting pile, so that you have an idea of how much maybe you'll want to have. I'm not going to video that whole part though. So I'll join you back in just a few seconds. Alright, so here's my wad of beard fibers so far. If you have different colored yarn, that might also look really cool. So you could combine different kinds of yarn, combine different colors of yarn. The amount that you're going to need is going to depend on the size of the cone that you have. So this one is about 12 inches long, and I think it's at almost 4 inches wide, so keep that in mind. I did see a couple other sizes of cones. There was a smaller one, maybe about this tall, maybe 6 inches tall, and then there was one that was even smaller than that. So you can make mini gnomes if you want to. I'm making a bigger one today. So I've got my glue gun warming up, and once that's ready, I'm going to start doing like a little bead right around this area where I'm going to stick the yarn. And this part can get kind of messy. You don't want to do like a whole circle of glue right at the same time if you're using a glue gun, because it will harden too quickly for you to actually tack anything down. And you want to be careful when you're doing this too, because if you have a very hot glue gun, mine is supposed to be low heat, so there's a little bit less of a danger of my getting burned, but it still hurts when you press your finger into hot glue. So be wary of that. They actually make finger protectors now that look like a little thimble that you can put over your finger so that you can use that to press it down. So if you have one of those, great, use that. It will make your experience a little less painful. You could probably also wear like a dishwashing glove too, that would work. I don't know how easily it'll get stuck to your form, so just be aware that you might end up permanently fused with your gnome if you wear a glove. I'm just going to try and be careful, and I'm going to leave a little bit of yarn hanging over the top of where I'm gluing so that I can stick it down real quickly and go on to the next piece, and then go back before it's entirely dry or cooled or hardened, and just press down on it to get it to adhere. That seemed to work well with the example that I made earlier, so that's the plan. And this could use a lot of glue depending on how much yarn you're sticking on there, so have a few extra glue sticks on hand. I think I used a couple of glue sticks to glue on the beard for my other example, so just be ready with those, be ready to go with those so you don't have to pause. So I'm just putting on maybe like 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch of glue, and sticking down a few pieces of yarn in that area. Whoa, it's rolling. And if you have some way of holding your gnomes, your cone down while you're doing this, that might be a good thing too. Okay. So I'm just pressing down now to make sure that those are adhering nicely. And if it looks like you know, this part looks a little bit loose, like I didn't maybe get enough glue right there, so you can just go ahead and put a little bit of glue right on top of it, and then add another piece there. Maybe add another piece on top of that, since I still have a little bit of wet glue, and then press it down. And be sure, as always, that you have something that you're covering your table or your work area with, so that you protect the surface if that is important. And you want to keep it nice. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way around with my beard here, and I will come back and show you what that looks like when we're done. Okay, so this is what it looks like with all of the yarn that I'd cut before glued on. And you can see that in some places it's a little bit thinner than others. I put like a second layer on over right here, and I think I like the thickness of that, and that gives you some good coverage of the cone underneath. So I'm going to cut some more yarn and then glue that around as like a second layer right on top of that first layer. And then I'll show you what it looks like after that. Alright, this is what it looks like with the second layer of beard on here, and that looks pretty good to me. Right now it does look thinner at the bottom, but we are going to kind of undo the plying here, and then this will make our beards much fluffier once we've unraveled some of the yarn. So that'll be the next step after this. Right now you want to take a look at your gnome and decide where you want the nose to be, and that might be dependent on where your hat falls on your gnome. So I'm going to put my gnome down for a second so we can take a look. So to make the hat, you're going to take your sock and you're going to make a space for the head or the cone right here by tucking the toe of your sock in. So here's my sock, and then I'm going to go to the toe and just pull this apart and kind of tuck it in, and then push as much of the sock up in there as I need to get the hat over the top of the cone here and down over the top of the beard and the hair. So I need a little bit more room in this sock. You can use a really long sock if you want a stocking cap kind of look. I just happen to have this reindeer sock that I thought would be cute. All right, so let's see how that looks. This way you don't have to cut the sock. You can reuse the sock later on if you want to. All right, so that looks good to me. So if that is where my hat is going to fall, then I can now decide where I want to put the nose. And I think maybe right about there is a good spot for my nose. So it kind of looks like Cousin It, right? I'm using a bead, so it has holes on the side of it. If you have the same situation, you could just put it on sideways so that it looks like your gnome has nostrils. And once you've decided where you want that, you can move the beard and the hair out of the way a little bit so that you have room to glue it down. And then get your glue gun ready and put a nice amount of glue on there. Get it pretty saturated, and then stick your nose on. And you can hold that for a minute while it adheres, and then you might want to add some glue just around the base of it. So I'm just going under and around and on top. Try not to get your beard or hairs stuck in there. And then you can give that a moment for it to cool off and dry. And then you can put your glue gun off to the side for a little while. You might need it later if you decide to come back and fill in some more beard, or if you want to add more of like a mustache area too. That'll be totally fine. Or maybe you want to give your gnome layers for future beauticians here. Okay, that's still it's still drying. So while that's drying, I'm just going to give it another minute there. I'm going to show you my previous example. So this is the gnome that I made earlier, and I used the same kind of yarn as this. It was the same size, but I went through and I unraveled so much yarn. This part took me the longest. It probably took me like an hour or so to do all of this. And some pieces I unraveled more than others, but like, wow, it really made a huge difference in the floof of the beard and the mustache. So I added some mustache area right under the nose on this gnome. And then this is how you finish off the hat in the end. You just tie the end off with your ribbons. So we'll do that in, once this guy is ready to go. But yeah, this is when I decided, okay, this looks really kind of cool. So definitely my gnome is Cousin It. All right, so we're ready to do our yarn now. Ready to start unraveling things. And it really does look pretty cool when you do it. So I'm just kind of, it's all wound around kind of in that direction. So I'm just taking it like between my nails here and pulling off whatever strands I can get. Like you might have more luck with different strands. Sometimes I get one, sometimes I get two, sometimes it just comes off right in between. And it's cool because since they're all wound up like this, they come out really curly once you get them apart. You ply them apart. And if you're finding that your beard is too long, you can also trim it later on too. I would wait until you've got it, you know, unraveled to the amount that you want it unraveled if you're going to do this part, or you've got all the layers of beard on that you want. Beard and hair. Gnomes are very furry, very hairy. So that's what the unraveled piece looks like. It's kind of crimped. And then we're going to do that with oh so many more. So I will do a bunch more and then show you what it looks like with those finished. And then you can decide maybe from there how much you want to do. Okay, I did about half of the beard hair here. So this side is the side that I unraveled, and then this side is the side that still needs to be done. So I've got some more work ahead of me. I think I have already decided though that I would like to do some beard and mustache hairs just right down in this center section. So I'm going to cut some more yarn for that and stick those on as well. And then I will show you what it looks like when it's all done. Okay, our gnome is ready for the hat completion. So just to catch you up, I put in another layer of shorter pieces of yarn there just to make more of like a mustache beard underneath the nose, and that filled it out pretty nicely. And then I also put down some of the glue right here so that I could stick the hair and the beard down so it wouldn't move around and leave gaps right where the face is going to be. And I was thinking, if you're the kind of people who have like the goose outside that you dress up, you can change the hat to a different sock if you want to follow different seasons or dress your gnome up for the holidays. Just a thought. So we're going to finish it off by tying off the hat here, and I'm just going to use some ribbons. So I've got a little green one and a gold one, and I'm going to use all three of these together. And you could also just tie a knot in the end of the sock too if you want to close it off that way. You could tie a bow if you want to. I'm just going to leave all the ends hanging down like that because I like how that looks. So there we go. There's our gnome. Congratulations, you're finished. I hope you had a good time making gnomes with me and that they turned out great. Here's my guy. For more fun activities and ideas, please check out our website, www.huntleylibrary.org, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.